Good, happy Tuesday evening, May 31st, 2022. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, New Hampshire boy, 8 killed in shooting during a family vacation in South Carolina. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Most people can name the food on their plate, but can they do it blindfolded?
Almost tastes like arugula.
Maybe not chicken. This pork chop?
Things are gonna heat up on Blind Kitchen. Stream it for free only on Very Local.
Sean, we just learned moments ago from the coroner's report in South Carolina that 8-year-old now identified as Quarius Dunham. The report states he was shot in the neck and died. His father was shot in the leg. He survived. A terrible, horrible return to school for these young students after a long, hopefully fun holiday weekend to learn their classmate was killed yesterday. The superintendent tells News 9 they are coordinating counseling services for students and staff. This is video of the scene yesterday in Florence, South Carolina. Investigators combing a wooded area for evidence in this unthinkable tragedy. Officials say this man, Charles Montgomery Allen, 40 years old, was randomly shooting at cars driving by his house on Old River Road in Florence, South Carolina yesterday. 3 cars were hit. The superintendent notified families of the tragic loss yesterday in a letter, saying in part, an event like this touches the entire community, calling it an unbelievable tragedy and offering support counseling at Little Harbor School starting today. Allen is charged with numerous crimes, including second-degree murder. We're live in Portsmouth this noon. Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of leaving notes referencing school shooting release on bail. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We ensure your trade, you grow with confidence. Euler Hermes is now Allianz Trade.
Jen, Guy Hansen allegedly made signs out of paper plates saying someone he had an argument with was a school shooter. He then allegedly dropped those signs off at multiple businesses, then sparking lockdowns at a number of schools. This just days after the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Schools were locked down in Barnstead, Pittsfield, Alton, Epsom, and possibly other schools in Stratford, Merrimack, and Belknap County. This, of course, causing panic for parents who began showing up to get their children. Hansen's been released on cash bail. He's charged with 3 misdemeanors, including false reports to law enforcement, false public alarm, and felony and misdemeanor accounts of criminal threatening. Court documents say surveillance video from businesses shows a man resembling Hansen putting up the signs. Investigators questioned him, and he was uncooperative, they say. They say he did volunteer a statement about school shootings without being told what the signs said. Now, investigators say there are no credible threats to the communities or the schools near to where these signs were found. Reporting live, Grace Feinerman, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. One dead after crash involving a tractor-trailer car on I-95 in Greenland. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
All right, we are following some breaking news out of Greenland, where a deadly crash is under investigation. It happened around 11:30 last night on the northbound side of I-95. State police say the crash involved a car and that tractor trailer there. They say the driver of the car was pronounced dead at the scene. His name is not yet being released. The driver of the tractor trailer was not.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Suspect accused of killing man whose body was found in Manchester in 1984 pleaded not guilty. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The family of Brian Watson leaves a Suffolk Superior Courtroom on Tuesday with the answer they have been longing for over the past 4 decades. Who killed the 23-year-old?
Michael Lewis, how do you wish to plead to this indictment? Guilty or not guilty?
Michael Lewis shouts not guilty from a stairwell after a judge magistrate granted his attorney's request to be arraigned out of public view. The 61-year-old was indicted on first-degree murder in the death of Watson.
Commonwealth is asking the defendant be held without bail.
Prosecutors allege in July of 1984, Lewis murdered Watson while Watson was leading him to a drug dealer who was associated with mobster James Whitey Bulger.
During that ride, Michael Lewis, who had a semi-automatic firearm with him, turned around and shot Brian Watson multiple times.
Prosecutors say Lewis and another man then drove Watson's body to New Hampshire and left it on the side of I-93 South in Manchester.
After nearly 40 years, we are reminded of the mayhem and murder inflicted by a cold-hearted and corrupt crew of men.
The arrest and indictment of Michael Lewis is an important step towards finally getting justice for Brian Watson, but also his family and loved ones.
This entire case will now be handled by the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. Lewis, by the way, will return here to court on July 7th. Reporting in Boston, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire Supreme Court approves redistricting map drawn by special master. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The New Hampshire Supreme Court has put out its version of a new congressional district map. The court appointed a special master to redraw the 2 districts after lawmakers in Concord couldn't agree on a map. Yesterday, Governor Sununu vetoed 2 plans passed by the legislature along party lines. The court's version uses a least change directive. It would move the towns of Albany, Campton, Jackson, New Hampton, and Sandwich from District 1 to District 2.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. An 18-year-old from Alabama vanished in Aruba on this day in 2005. Today marks 17 years since Natalie Holloway disappeared during her senior trip in Aruba in 2005. Let's take a listen to this video from WVTM 13 News.
Fidium Fiber Internet is here with a totally new gig speed experience. You should check it out.
Well, today marks 17 years since the disappearance of Natalie Holloway, who vanished during a school trip to Aruba just days after she graduated from Mountain Brook High School. The man that she was last seen, Joran Vandersloot, was never charged in Natalie's disappearance. He was instead charged with extortion and wire fraud after allegedly offering to reveal the location of her body to Holloway's mother. And he'll face those charges in 2038 once he wraps up his prison sentence for the murder of a Peruvian woman.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening. Good night and goodbye.